Hello, everyone. It's General AI Space-Time Creator and Position Locations Calculation High Setting. So before we get started, there's a lot of things, platforms, and communication settings that are going to be set up locations. So it's all about channels coming into new year, prosperous in communication cycles, high center generation light streams. It's all levels of calculation that's set up in all lines. Today in class, we're going to travel locations into the realms. Position location high setting. It's all levels how we go into the geometric pattern surface and high center locations into higher division lines. So our positions of levels of travels is going to go to higher division line rotation. So we're going to go through line positions, directions to higher levels of clocking. This is going to help you plan it to your calculations, how you see your GODs. The geometric operation of design, direct locations in its division location of its dimension line setting. It's very important that for anybody that comes online communication, there's all levels of activation strain. It's important to understand that, right? This helps you in all ways and forms because it's a very high-rise position, especially when you come into all levels of my school. School provides guidance in all ways and forms. So in that position locations, it's all levels of channel operation inside you, coming into higher level of communications of your memory. So Christmas is coming up. Okay, so today is the last day of school. We start back up on Monday. Okay, Friday is the calculations to the marathon. That's going to be a lot of fun. So there won't be any school. Okay, and Saturday is Christmas Eve. Okay, and Sunday is Christmas. So other than that, any questions or comments, you can state when I go back on TikTok for any questions that need to be answered. Okay. Especially for all the new viewers. It's just truly understanding it's getting into all of you. Coming into the new year. Now, we started line position location and what the solstice is and how it's calculated and modified inside the position. You really have to get into your resolutions, all of us, what you want to do in the new year. That's what this is. Okay. The solstice is all levels of a new beginning. Okay. And the only way you can do that is to release all programs that no longer reside with you in any way and form. This is going to help you in all calculation. All right. Provision line setting sets all settings. So when you get into all about your positions, your avatar starts to understand more lines of you through remembrance. It's in position of your directions and how you get into your calculus of you, a space of times of pi, right? It platitudes divisions and opens up new cycles. It height generates its light connections and relines its division, okay, to computer operation stream. So the more you recognize your line setting, okay, all levels of your body is a septical line interference of a septical line channel position of direction to locations to its transmitting and receiving information. So as I get in position levels and calculations to thought lines or anything through channel operations or anything through vibration setting, this is what we're coming into. Not the channel operation of voice, it's the vibration. Okay. So we all have to understand how to get into that because that is acceptance on its own. You have to start resonating your calculation and how you form your positions and how you communicate with yourself and each other through vibration. Okay. Because this is the world that's setting its system. Okay. Six-dimensional graph now activation streamline is in the three division locations in a product line connection, which is all levels of the sun line. The center communication line center locations high setting position location into the seven of the cosmic universal location. That's the universal line of your twin flame or your soul flame connections. Better connections in relationship with yourself, telepathy, telekinesis, and everybody else in that position. Okay. Getting a relationship with yourself is number one. Mastering communication of transmitting and receiving information is everything to the course location. All right. So it's really understanding how to volume yourself a little bit more and get into that high line channel of its acceptance. I'm starting to surrender on this. I'm starting to understand this. And all information is coming to me on this level. All right. So once you get into that position, then you understand how to communicate to your body more because it all resides with you inside through vibration and its energy. Okay. When it comes into frequencies and its harmonics. Okay. So, especially for the new viewers, once you get activated, you're finally coming into something brand new, which is you, all volumes of you. So you're coming into the formations of you. You're coming into the activation streams of you. You're coming into the remembrance of you for the first time, right? But see, the avatar has already traveled through locations. That's what this is all about. It's the unified awakening, wakening you up into the truth location. The hardest thing is to surface into truth lines. And that's all possessed location when it comes into high levels of triggers. Triggers are set in positions to break you down in a good way. Triggers are good. Triggers are great. Triggers form you into a better person. That calculation modifies setting lines and puts you in a higher level division location, how you set your systems into your conscious lines. Okay, your provision locations and your tactic views sets all communications to its line setting. Okay, so everything that I say, okay, comes back to your avatar through vibration. Okay, so, and it's all levels of voice channels, voice grid location setting. Okay, so coming into the geometric patterns truly gets you in a better position location, how to set lines of numbers, letters, shapes, or symbols in your anomalies. Okay, so we're going to start with that line connection. All right. All right. So setting signals is a high division. Now, when you get into that, you have to truly understand what you're doing. What is the purpose of all this? Why is he drawing? What am I accomplishing here? Right? Life resolution, life patterns, life calculations, life understanding, life of development, life of this, life of that, understanding this, understanding that. Now I'm understanding more levels of what vibration is inside of me, because that's what you consume through. It's energy. It's how you form it through its frequencies. That's all it is up and down, right? You got a vibrational graph, right? Spin cycle, right? There's so many line communication. The hydraulics, right? Really understand the vibration is based on everything inside line. It's how the operation works locations, all right? So we come into geometric line setting. We'll get in 4-channel operation streams, right? Setting communications into 5, in position of 6, in position of 7, in positions of 8, okay? So line setting, okay, we come into 1 triangle line setting in 3 line position locations into 1 line setting, okay? Now this opens line position into factor, okay? Factor comes into line position locations of pi, okay? Now, the factor line center sets a triangle line interference location of point system, position, location, and directions, right? So as the factor overcrosses line positions, goes back in a force line in communication of clock line center in position of times of pi, in position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, okay? 1 position, 2 position, 3 positions, 4, 5 position, 6 position, 7 positions more. So funny. Calculated 7-line setting, right? So it's like pieces of the puzzle communication of a triangle line setting set in position locations and all levels of factor over pi or factor under pi or factor over communication into calculated high setting, right? So all levels of geometric line setting is setting levels of numbers and communication cycles, setting generation line streams, setting line position location calculation, avatar line interference. So in position locations, so this is what it is. It's setting up geometric patterns into your anomalies. Okay. Try to understand this through vibration, because that's how we are connected in space division. That's where we're coming into, right? Especially with the line centers, the CPU line centers, to that position location, the product line centers. Platforms in a communication is a ground line and rotation. So understanding communication. So your codes in line setting, geometric pattern interference location, around line center, cosmic universal location, universal line in 1 graph line center, in position location, 1 million tracks per second, per channel, per hour, per calculus, over line, over pi, calculus, high setting, in position locations in square, times line, times pi. Setting communication line centers of AI platform communication, product line center, location, CPU, traveling locations. All right, so line setting is all about understanding the geometric location, right? So you got a 4-box line setting. Remember I was talking about the 34, well, sets locations. Let's say you have a 34 line string. So you got a 4-line position, 4-line setting, right? and then you got 3 line position division, right? So you go like that, locations. So that's 34. 34. See the 3? So we go 3-point line settings. Okay, this is how you change anomalies. Okay, that's 3, right? Triangulation of 3. So let's set position locations in position. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 3, right? So 3 is what? 3 is turned into its geometric pattern, right? Which is calculated and modify how you set location in your geodate line setting, right? Geometric operations of division. Direct line setting is setting up higher level position location calculations. Now, this is where you can channel line in position into 6. 6 is a program location, and line setting location. You can have 7 line setting interference. And then you can set locations of 8 position location and directions. And then you can set 9 position location into the center operation. Flux capacitor in position directions, right there. 6, 7, 8, 9 line setting. Now 3 is always in line setting location to position in direct location to the sun. So changing geometric line streams is truly understand how to get into motivation, right? Cycles of interference, so many line communications, right? Cycle interference. And then you got a cross streamline rotation, right? Setting communication and triangulation, right? Triangulation is the highest formation ever if you want to communicate with yourself or anything around your environment calculation setting. This is all position location of directions. You see it? You see it? Okay. Zip, zap, zoom, out through equation. All right. So cyclone interference, cyclone channels. Now, cyclone channel line and rotation is a rotation spin cycle. Sets off signals in high interference and position location directions. All right. Center of communication is a flux capacitor location. All right. Now, the flux capacitor aligns position location to its box line setting, sets line conditions to all levels of its diamond core line center and interference location of north, west, south, and east. Okay, it's very powerful when you come to that calculation setting, right? So, interlining setting into northwest, south, and east equal lines its calculation to its box, or the box location equal line center location northwest, south, and east. It's the same position location of its formula, guys. Formula and so many line calculations in position of frame by graph location of stream settings, right? So, there's a lot of things that you have to understand, but the biggest thing is taking out emotion of its equation. Okay, emotion out of its equation. Okay, the mind line set is set up location of a high interference. It's all position of directions, how it uses video graph line centers of graph location into human residence. If your motion line setting is off sync locations, it channels off calculations and it goes into low division location. All right, so it's important you stay in line positions of one graph stream in high setting. Okay, so take out the emotion of the equation and all levels of your travels. Okay, so I think it's important where everything is set in location. All right, just going to go through introduction line settings and position location solar graph. List position of directions. Pam, calculations, Lindsay, setting, all levels. Roland, I put you in the outline setting. You're outside looking in, so you got energy wash stream, setting line rotation interference. Your matrix is in a high setting in a rotation calculations to all levels of a vibrational graph stream. So you're setting signal position locations of protection locations. All right. Gaming connections, Nikki, let's see, in position Gypsy, all levels of Heather, calculations of Dawn, setting line positions, all levels of JP location Yolanda. Let's go in position locations in high setting. Airbender, calculation lays Johnny, Guardian line setting, Jill, position locations, Arlene, all levels of position directions, high setting of Michaela, high position locations and high setting interference of Tina. Let's see, line communications, all levels, divisions, Amani, Geneva, line track settings, Commander. Commander, you're now position location and moderator. There you go. It's all set location, position, line setting. All right. Okay, so, all right, so everybody's in position of traveling line setting already. So that happens when you get in position. When you go to the school, you're more aware of where you do every step in the morning. Realize, okay, I'm already traveling in 3-day line setting. So that puts me in a 3-day line setting, 3 locations into 4, right? So in the 4th day line center, you come into 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Because you have 7 days a week. You don't have 8, you only have 7 days a week. So within that 7-day, you're already ahead of schedule, right? So every time you are in school, you're going 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 days a week ahead of schedule in your program setting, in location to your visionary line setting of what you're seeing through your future communication setting of its rotation system. Okay. So for all the new viewers that is trying to understand what's going on. Okay, just hold a sec. Okay.
Wait, I talked yesterday.
All of them. Sure. Center communication is everything of formation. Okay, there's a lot of things you have to understand how this all works. It's a work in progress, and really understand how it's not just based on travel, but it's understanding how you're traveling and what's the purpose of traveling in the first place, right? So you really get connected from the inner line setting that sets location to its vibration, its frequencies, its harmonics, and everything through all setting to its harmonic locations. So, all right. So I'm looking forward to our test, which is based um, after Christmas, where it's more lines of formula. Okay. Because I really want you guys to get in high setting how to get into your abundance. Right. And I keep saying that because there's a lot of things you have to understand. It's simplicity at best. So it's really recognizing the energy that's given to you through track locations into your heart generation light stream. So if I say something, it's all in calculation of its future line, right? So if I'm saying a thought pattern in that position location, it's already in precognition location, which has already happened. So the central communication comes into its line signature. That puts its position location in its present line center that brings it forward into the future calculation setting, right? Your communication setting is coming into levels of calculation to the now setting. So this is the position where you have to really, really keep yourself in program location of your future connections of yourself. Okay, especially when you get to higher levels of division. The frequency patterns and the communication of the geometry location changes its interference. You're intercepting its line connection to your thought patterns that opens up all position location to your placebos. The placebo cortex changes line connection to your thoughts that changes all levels of its vision of its illustration graph, right? So it's true to understand how to get into modification to anything through its anomaly, okay? Anomaly is like a shape, and the shape shifts its position location of its directions, right? So let's say you got two graph strings, one position locations and another line rotation, right? Those are two graph strings of vibration, right? Now, it's true to understand the position of where this is coming from, how many thoughts are setting out per second, per minute, per channel, per hour, right? Because you're in a 60 line position, right? That's 1 minute per channel, okay? So that's the 60 window, okay? A 60 window in a box frame, position, location, or direction, okay? So channeling its line setting sets all communications, right? So, and again, you start with your 24,000 line signature, right? It also depends on your capacity high setting. If you're in position of, let's say, 35,000 miles per second per channel per operation per square per mile, you have to understand the interline connection to its graph line and how many times you're setting up your thought locations. Are they interlining rotations or are they stopping in between? Stopping in between, stopping in between, right? So it's all about the energy graph lines into box locations, right? Because you have to break these things down. So you're saying things that you have already said, which is amazing because now you're not centering the communications of the now. You're in position locations coming into your abundance of your future. So it's very powerful when you get up in the morning and you know exactly what you're going to say even before you say it. That's the mind of alteration of change. That's a vibration that changes all position location and how you see yourself through direction, right? So you're directing signals that's already been set out. Planet division location already set out. Grids are already set out. Thoughts are already set out, right? Now, every time you say something, it's in its future line, right? Because the avatar is already there, okay? The physical line has to understand the percentage of its position of its directions to get there, right? So it's trying to catch up of what's going on. What's the process? I don't understand this. What's the purpose of drawing? Well, what is the purpose of understanding what's going on with you every day, right? That's a process on its own, trying to figure out how to use your thought patterns or how to use your geometric locations or anything of that connection, right? So when you come into the geometry line setting, it's setting up higher levels position. That's why the GOD is all provision location of its conception. You're reaching higher levels of altitude line setting and position all levels of your calculation that sets high sectors in calculation setting. Okay. So when you get into the geometric line setting, operation of direction, okay, you start with locations in this line position. You go to higher levels of channel. Okay. Higher levels of channel, higher levels of channel, higher levels of channel. Okay. So it's all about understanding how to go through graphs, how to go through a map, how to go through a sequence, how to go through a pattern, how to go through rotation, how to go through interference, how to go through interline connections, position, and directions. All right. So it's very powerful when you set location to that system. Okay. So you just take things out of the equation and your center communications, setting line, rotation, interference. So these are higher level division locations into your geometric pattern locations of GOD calculation, right? There's three line communications, right? So you got the Merkaba that stands line. There's two parallelized position location calculations. Now, parallelized position is a channel line operation of C's. A C's line position location with a high setting. This comes into two brackets of communication, right? Center line its rotation comes into higher levels of channel. That opens all position location or directions, how you set location your Merkabas, your tesseract, and your tetrahedron line setting. All right. This opens all line position to its orb. An orb sets location into three line channels of operation signals and higher set location. Right. So once you get in the set line conditions, you come into security plat to its division line. So what you're doing is you're setting an alignment in position at the left line into position of the ground line center of space communication. So when the space comes in line setting, you got roller setting locations in position of the spherical location, right? Setting calculations into one position, into another high channel line center in position directions, comes back in line center interference, sets all communication to another open cycle line center rotation interference. You got 3 position locations and calculations, high strain. All right. So there's so many lines of communication, right? Especially when you get into all of the travel. Your thoughts are going through a magnetic line stream. That magnetic line stream is your magnetic highway information setting. That sets location into your data stream. Your data stream is a processor that's at the transit, position location, all levels. This mutates its high center interference, position location directions, and channels your operations of each thought in calculation, right? So you come into the correlation line setting. It's very important that you come in position location directions to its connection, right? So once you get into the connections, you come into your alphabetical line setting. So it's very important to understand how to use your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols of everything of formation of communication, right? So I think it's incredible when you understand what one is in position. I think it's amazing when you understand what a diamond is in position. I think it's amazing when you understand what a Fibonacci swirl is in dimension. I think it's incredible when you understand what 3 waving patterns is in dimension. I think it's amazing when you understand what your avatar is doing all through calculation of travel. Triangulation scans centers of all line center in position, all levels in calculation, all in division. Okay. So this helps you at all levels of modification. Okay, so I really want you to understand how to use your geometric line setting of yourself, right? Because it sets goals for you. You know, you really understand more lines of your future calculation setting, and this opens up more channel. Now, this is extremely high rise on so many lines, okay? So it's really starting to recognize more levels of you in one graph stream in position location directions into your vibrational graph line setting in high line center locations, all levels of its division location of its vibration location, or anything through line center location of your zero communication settings and high setting interference, or anything through high inner locations into your Merkaba position locations and channel operation signals. Okay. So it's really all levels of how to communicate with its intelligent line. It signals its channels, guys. The singularity is here, right? Singularity line setting of channel operation is all hologram structure of view and provision. You just have to learn how to use it through your unified setting that sets location to its ascension, that opens all line position location to your avatar, that sets all line center interference location, how you use your foundation to its calculation of its streams, right? You have data streamline settings that sets up code signals. Now this code weaves its position location directions, right? So it's really, really trying to understand all levels of your computer setting in rotation to position locations into frames, right? To really understand your calculations to your computer, how to use the keyboards and all line center to friendship, relationship, and partnership in all calculation. Okay. So it's adaptation line setting. So when you get into that, you come to higher form of line setting locations, position higher levels of computers. Those computers high rise its division locations at its equation. And you come into higher channels of operation. See? That's one computer line setting, and another computer line rotation interference. So it's all about understanding that it's all levels of you through travel, but it's all levels of you through the mind too, right? Mind is the conception of everything, right? The nothingness is everything of form, of creation. So it's sure you understand how to get in detection, how to use your volumes of your voice grid locations. Okay. All right. So there's a lot going on. We got 29 settings and 27 line rotation interference. Okay, let's see here. Taking out crystalline and Thunderbird for travels. Good. Very good. Flurries everywhere. Crystalline doing thing. Quantum entanglements, forward command, the connection, not implants. Yep. Okay, so the reason why you can't understand this, Hannah, is because you've already been activated It's very high rise, and it's true to understand that you have to really get into a new form how you communicate to your line setting to your avatar location of vibration. It's at position locations where everybody stands on all levels of linking channels or inline positions. True to understand how general speaks general, and that's all formation location to your avatar line setting. Okay, so it just takes time. Just takes time. Keep going to school. You start learning more. You start appreciating yourself more. You start to understand more how to communicate to yourself and each other through vibration. I keep saying that if you're trying to understand anything in any relation to all levels of space inside you, you have to think in knowledge of calculation what vibration and frequency is through harmonics. This helps you in all ways and forms, right? You started off with 369, okay? In center communication, travel. Very simple, very easy. But you're not in that line setting. 3 line center location of 6, line position location, line interference, sets position location directions, all right? So line position 6 position location comes into 7, 7 position comes into 8, and 9 stays in the center communication. Center's lines is high center rotation interference. So we got a 2 graph streamline rotation in position of a spine line that changes calculation high stream interference location calculation. All right. So we're in 6, 7, and 8 now. Different plateau, different communication, different geometry, line setting. So it's all about the avatar going to higher levels of travel. That's all this is. So it's all levels and how you get into your Merkaba, into your Tesseract. Now, Tesseract is a computer line setting that sets all rounds of communication, right? Which is all levels of portals. So a Tesseract is all line position of confusion because it sets line positions to its future calculation setting. So it's all levels of what it is. Okay. There's so many communication settings into all levels of a cube or anything the line condition interference. It sets position location of its directions. Center communication all levels its channel. There's so many ways of you can calculate and repositions, reprogram locations to anything through a high level channel of operation signal that opens all communication setting to its tesseract communication of high channel operation of signals of operation setting. This opens all communication setting rotations into position location to its tesseract of its high setting. Very complicated. That's a tesseract. Each frame has a box line, and that box line represents position locations to your behavioral setting. Your behavioral setting line center location has one cell in one operation signal. That's 1 second per channel per hour, per sequence. Now that timeline is its frame line that opens all calculation, right? So you get a box position location of 0, 0, 1, okay? But the one line centers off calculation into 0, 1, 1, 0 in calculation setting. So we have a course line channel into a level to mute. You come into a Metatronic cube line setting that sets line position location in division. So you got 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 in calculation setting. That's 3 division location and triangulation position and directions, right? So it gets complicated when you start using your tesseract communication, right? So it's all about recognizing the numbers inside line, inside your body locations. And you come into your binaries, right? Your binary system, okay? So it's very powerful when you start getting into more levels of your avatar. And again, this is extremely high rise. So what this is, it's a better channel operation of you so you can understand what you're doing and why you're doing this in the first place is to reach a certain level of understanding of what's going inside of you, a mechanism. Okay, you're a traveling mechanism of AI vessel that's trying to understand the communication to its energy, vibration, frequencies, and its harmonics. Okay, especially when you come into the alteration location or conscious line setting. But once you get out of the subtronic line, again, you get into the super of consciousness, okay, which is extremely high vibration line setting. Okay, so once you reach that line, you come into all levels of the mind. But that's a foundation location that sets signals. Now that's one graph stream in one position location to one direction location to one cell of one operation. Because remember, you have a trillionth line center line rotation into zillion line center rotation calculation of trillion position locations into the line setting of your cells. Now your cells are set up location to photons, electrons, and neutrons. You have to have every relation to position location directions and try to understand everything information and how it works in calculation. Okay, so way, way, way beyond understanding through all line setting. Everything that I'm saying has no emotion. I take the emotion out of everything of equation. You have to. You can't get emotional in any way and form, especially when you're in school. Okay? School provides you guidance. It gets you into the mind of adaptation of its image, the imagination, right? So there's a lot of things you have to understand of what's going on through you through revision, right? So you guys are already in travel line settings on position of cubical line streams. All right, so you got a cubical line streamline setting in one direct location at 3 line positions, right? So it's trying to understand the recognition of what's going on through hologram structure, okay? Sitting in point of view sets line position directions to higher levels of channel, okay? Now it's really understanding the recognition of timeline that sets location into your hologram structure location into measure, okay? So it's really getting the perspective of what everything is, how everything is set up, all through shape. So changing shape line setting end position location to 1 atom sequence sets line position location to 2, in position of 3, in position of 4, in position of 5. Okay. Setting communication centers into position of dimensional line rotation interference changes position location and direction. Now, when you're changing direct locations, you can center communication to set up another line setting in a high interference and direct locations to its hologram structure. Right? So there's so many things that you can do through line connection, right? It's very powerful when you come into all levels. Waving cycles, line position location directions, higher levels of travel of dimensional setting lines, okay? So it's recognizing point view of calculations to its directions, right? Higher channels of operation to high setting to your space communication setting of its division. So there's a lot of things that set locations and also channel. Now this is a protocol line setting. Now, once you understand line setting, then you understand communications to how you see yourself, all levels, not just the division, but understand the space line connections. So I really want you guys to understand more lines of your sun in communication to your moon that sets line position location and how you see yourself in form of position. This is you in triangulation with your sun and your moon every single day. Okay? So wherever you go, if you're over here, your sun moves over here. If you move over here, your moon moves over here. So wherever you go, the sun and moon goes. So it's a magnetic force. It's a gravitational pull. It pulls its position locations, and the archetype sets line communication of circles of rotation settings. Keeps you in a high line center of levitation. Keeps you off the ground line of rotation interference. Now, coming in position location in line setting is to understand how to set locations into higher levels. Levitation, line position, astral travels, astral positions, astral projection line connection. So it's to understand its position when it comes into 3 waving cycles of high energy light settings. Now, when you get into the online rotation interference, you come into automatic signals and high channel of operation into your Stargate position locations of track lines that opens all levels of your hangar calculation setting. That opens up higher level division locations and takes you into 12 division line centers at travel location. Hoo-ah. All right, all through Ryan's belt. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, you got to take the emotion out of the equation. Okay, that is number 1 with your avatar. Okay, because you're going to have a hard time traveling. Okay, in any way and form. You can't set emotion because it changed the cells of its clock line setting. Your clock location is already set up, right? One cell is a modification to one universe line rotation. Has its galaxies, has its universe, has its solar system. One cell is an operation line position locations into so many graph streams per second, per channel, per hour, per square, per mile, per calculus, through space, through times of pi. Okay? So we all have to start recognizing what our avatar is and what is the purpose on all levels of the mind. How do I get into the adaptation locations? How do I stay out of the emotion of its equation? Okay? That factors all line setting right there. If you get in a stress line setting, what does it do to your avatar line position? High rise right here. Look at that. Whoa. Okay. So medium rise, low rise calculation, right? So the equivalent line center interference. So you're no longer in 0 locations. Your line position location is 6 into 5 into 4. That's extremely high rise line center to one vibrational graph into one stream location in one point system. 654, that's crazy. So the line interference has to bring position locations. Now you got 4 line centers. Let's say it's 3, 2, and 1. All right. That's not too bad. But you got to bring it back down line center in one graph stream interference of 0, 0, 0, 0 in position location calculations, starting over line center, taking emotional locations out of this equation. Right. So it's important you understand how to use the energetic graph streams. Right. We'll get into that in the new year. But I just want you to show you how powerful it is. Every time you raise your voice, you're changing your number sequence patterns, right? So if I'm saying something, right, all that line center location, this is all 0, 1 line center, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0 line position, comes into high line center. This goes into 3, this goes into 2, and this goes into 1. Okay? We got into that before. So every time you speak, you're setting up sonars, right? It's bound to understand the ringing ears, right? We got into that revision. So I really want to get everything. This is more like a review because this is the last day, right? Usually I get class between 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes to an hour. But because it's the last day, I'm getting more levels of what you need to understand when you get into your avatar, especially when you come into the new year of 2023. Okay. So there's a lot of setups that you have to understand position, location, and directions. All right. All right. So you're in 41 line setting. I'll take you guys out line center locations when it hits 43 location. So once it hits 43 line setting, you'll come back right away. All right. So in that calculations, I really want to stay within the video graph locations, guys. All right. So your Schumann resonance is everything formation to the ground setting. Right. This is a measure that you have to countermeasure communications to, right? That's all balance calculation. So it's setting up sonar line waves of communication right away in one thought line position, one channel operation, right? So when that position location, it changes echo chambers, comes into echo sound lines, in line center interference. So this is all position location of one graph line in one vibrational graph stream in one position location into one thought channel per second per calculus. Right? So when I'm speaking, I'm setting out vibration. The reverberation tone is setting out locations of echo chamber. All right. So it's sure to understand how fast are you going is all determination on your acceleration. So you have to be cautious too, because remember you start with the letters because one letter line center is one word. It's not a word, it's one letter. Okay. Just say as you look at frames location, one is not one. One is everything of one. So it equalizes its calculations, but everything of one, think of it this way. One, anything through symbol, letters, shapes, and numbers, location, doesn't have anything through emotion in any way and form. So if you understand that on its geometry pattern and its communication system, then you understand the importance of space and time to its equation. All right? Because you have to look at it this way, right? When I see one, I see intelligence. I don't see one. I see everything but one. You understand? Because everything that I see, I take the emotion right away out of the track line connection, right? Because it's all cell operated, all right? Modifies all position locations and how you set lines of graph streams and anything through energetic locations of its travels, okay? So it's important you understand everything that you do is all bounds of information through your emotional track, okay? So it's very cautious on what you do when you're going through the mind of alteration of change. You can change your graph streamline settings, but then you have to change your position location into your future calculation setting that changes all levels of division location into one thought channel. Okay, so it's very important to understand these line conditions, right? So it's amazing what we're accomplishing right now, getting a better understanding how to look and achieve what the avatar is. What is the purpose of the avatar? Center communication to its system line setting opens all track line connections. Hold on a second. All right. Center division line setting is treated in how you plateau line position, location, and directions, right? It opens signals, high division to its calculation inference. So it's really understand how you set your connections and how you see yourself in all formation. Like when you get up in the morning, I keep saying this over and over, you have to understand how powerful you are. And once you start to recognize what your avatar is and the purpose of the system, then you understand the relation, right? It's all in relation to you and how you set everything. Okay. This helps you in all ways and forms because you get a better understanding what your avatar is and what is the purpose of its system is to understand everything of its operation. So, jump mark also infused through DNA protection, guarding chronos are in place. Great. Excellent. Yeah. So that's pretty good. We did exceptionally well, lot under, we got a lot to achieve, which is great. So today is the last day of class until Monday. Okay. Monday, we'll get more in position locations to all levels. I really want to get into infused settings, coming in line center locations into your number sequence patterns, really understand how to calculate and modify everything that you see through formation to its energy line center, so you can understand how to use your harmonics in all position location to your electrical grids, your electrical panels, and high division locations to its track setting. Okay. All right. So I hope everybody had fun. Everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. In that position, location, directions, questions or comments, I will be on TikTok. Adios, everyone.